Okay, so metal.
Metal.
The show's about metal.
What is metal? We're going to spread the hidden value in music.
We're going to proselytize. We're going to get the word out there.
We are.
That's important.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Great Metal Podcast, episode 63, maybe.
Yeah.
It is the games of Symphonic Metal Thrones today. Oh, the kings and queens of the Symphonic Metal realm. Are they going to be able to be unseated by the new up-and-comers in the genre? We'll find out.
Dude, what's going to happen? Shit. So nervous. Thinking
this is particularly well timed because I went to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony last night.
What?
At the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra. And I was like, oh, yeah,
jealous.
Ode to Joy, a little Clockwork Orange. Right?
Awesome.
That's, I think, the one they use in Clockwork Orange. But Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange.
I thought you meant
it's
the
like
Clockwork.
the second movement.
I thought you meant the Clockwork Orange song, and I was like, I've never heard of it. But yeah, from the movie. Yeah.
He plays Beethoven's Ninth.
Dude,
but, so I
live
sat there
music.
And thought about evil.
Yeah, that's a good place to think about evil. But live music, man, I just started like going to see shows again, and I miss it. You know, you realize like the energy that comes from a live performance is something special. You know, when it's a good band, and it's really inspiring. You know, you come home and you're like pumped. You know, to whatever, do your thing. It's great fun.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I'll give like the 30-second review. So I went to the Dream Theater concert in Norway, and Devin Townsend opened for him. And so 30-second review. Devin Townsend was a 29.69 out of 10. The dude is so brilliant live. I've never seen anything like he'd be like in the middle of like, you know, a super aggressive song, and then everything would just like instantly stop, and he'd throw out a line about being able to smell your urine when you eat asparagus, and then like the second he was done, they're like back into the song. I mean, brilliantly timed stuff. He's so funny, so good live. He was on point. 69 out of 10 for Devin Townsend. Dream Theater.
He's a live sound technician too. Like he's just brilliant with the live sound. The sound is so full and huge.
Tasty.
You know,
your ears just lick it up.
Taste asparagus urine. Basically.
Yeah. Right. Now Dream Theater. Dream Theater is always so impressive to watch. I had to give them like a 9.5 out of 10 though, because you know, I think something was going on with their monitors or something, like James, because you know they have backing tracks to play live, and like James kept getting off on his harmonies, and he'd come in at the wrong time, and he was missing notes. And part of it is like he said he was like what motherfucking like 69 years old or something. The dude's like almost 70 or something. Maybe he's 59, 60 years old. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
old.
He's unfortunately James's performance live is just off enough to where you're like, oh, something's a little wrong. But I think there was also some technical difficulties going on.
It happens, man.
Watching just like you said, Shred. I mean, watching that level of proficiency live, there's just nothing like it. It's just you can't believe you're seeing what's happening,
especially if you're close, if you have like a good seat, you know. Imagine if you could just get on stage and put a fold out chair just like right there and just sit down and just take in all the metal like right in your face.
You also feel it though, like you physically feel the music.
Oh,
dude, when you go to shows, which you just don't get, you know, listening to it on recordings.
Yeah, it's true. So
how does our journey start with this episode, Luke?
We've actually
Genesis origin.
It was maybe a year and a half ago. We did a Symphonic Metal genre episode, and it's been one of our more popular episodes on the podcast.
Actually, our 18th episode. I looked it up, and we're on 63. So it was way back there. You might have to dig in the archives if you didn't hear it after this.
Yeah, well, and it was like this is such a fun genre. Symphonic metal it's so deep because it's like born out of a whole bunch of different genres. It incorporates so many different styles, and there's so much you can do, right? Because you've got like 10, 15 instruments that you're playing with, as opposed to just 2 or 3, and so you can do just such really cool stuff with it. And it's just brilliant. The themes of medieval fantasy and stuff, so good.
Medieval themes, that's great.
Anyway, we were talking about it, how that was one of our most popular episodes. We're like, we should do another one. And as it turns out, almost every single day I get recommended videos on YouTube, and it's usually Napalm Records or something. Mm-hmm. And I would say like 8 out of 10 recommendations I get is some symphonic metal band.
It's probably one of the more popular styles. It's more palatable because you don't just have, raw, distorted electric guitars slicing your face off. The orchestral element sort of smooths everything out. It makes it easier to listen to.
Well, and symphonic metal definitely plays heavier to like resonance than dissonance. Death metal is all about dissonance, right? Harsh sounds. And symphonic metal is all about, it's resonance or consonance.
Consonance would be, the antonym of dissonance. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So that, thank you. So, and so that's just like more pleasing to the ear naturally, I think. Although I love dissonance. Oh gosh, that gets
me. Dissonance is we hear that in black metal and other genres, but it's the hardest thing to control. Like no one's gonna really understand maybe what I'm saying here, but it's like if you can control dissonance, like the world is yours, because basically it's about, it gives tension in the music, and without tension there can't be any release, and you need to have that sort of like journey of things are tense and the story's getting, oh man, there's something crazy going on. It's like when you go see a movie, right? It's got a good plot. And, there's these dangerous factors that, are whatever, they could take everything down and whatever the story is. But that, ability to give that tension, that makes the story interesting. And then with the consonants, it resolves all the tension.
Oh, yeah. That's how like the Ninth Symphony opens, right? It's like just crazy right at the beginning. But yeah.
It's building up for you.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll see if we can find some dissonance here today. I think we actually can, and we're definitely gonna find a lot of tension and release. So shout out to David Rask here, as well as Raspy Roop. Good to have you guys.
Raspy is got tickets to see Devin in July, which is exciting.
You are not going to regret it, my friend. Oh, so good.
And David throws out that the world is dissonant, so
that's true,
why,
man.
That's it. You gotta have some in your music.
That's well said. That's a good point to think about, because you really it acknowledges people's experience is what it is. Life doesn't feel like just roses and peaches and cream and everything nice all the time, right? And
no,
that like is what helps metal be relatable. For me, I was like, that's what my life feels like, is how this sounds.
Right. Yeah.
So not everybody's going to feel that way about their lives, and in which case they may not be metalheads, but I submit that there may be such thing as a metal gene. It's a genetic predisposition perhaps, but anyway,
that is dedefinitely something to dive into.
By David.
Yeah. The world is, and apparently he's wearing clothes. He put clothes on for this one, so good job. Although depending upon where you are, you might not need them. I tend not to wear clothes when I don't have to. But okay, well, let's dive into some, because we got some great metal here. So the idea here is we're going to take a look at the big names in symphonic metal. A lot of the guys that really helped found and form the genre. and like what they did to make it so special. And
like
then we're going to look
B,
at
Kid Laroi, right? Am I on the right track here? Making these
exactly.
Stallion.
Yeah.
There's more, but you get the idea.
And then we're going to look at a lot of these like, newer bands. Some of them aren't necessarily even new, but like within the last like 10, 15 years or so. And they're like, becoming much bigger names. And it's like, can they take the genre to the next level? Can you take what Nightwish did and take it to the next level? Are we adding anything new? Because I will tell you, symphonic metal is probably the most saturated genre. And there are 1,000 copycat bands out there that just literally are just taking a Nightwish song and, changing a little thing here and there and, trying to make something new with it. And it's not new.
Saturated with asparagus urine.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
Tough saturation.
Now, I got a lashing here on the Reddit forums when I was looking up some of this stuff and doing some research. And one particular individual had to admonish me and tell me that the symphonic metal genre did not indeed start with bands like Celtic Frost back in the early 80s and then form with bands like Therion and Nightwish in the 90s. It was actually Black Sabbath. The first metal band ever that started symphonic metal. So it's this clip from this song called Spiral Architect. Let's check it out and see if this is symphonic metal.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, there was
so
definitely
you got the
a violin.
Strings in it. Well, there's a whole string section.
Yeah.
That was really well recorded. It was super loud in the mix. It probably would have dialed it back.
Well, so that was the 2013 remix or remaster of that album. So the original recording might not have been as good.
Who knows?
Yeah. But okay, there it is. So if you're going to boil down, if symphonic metal is defined as metal with a symphonic element, like a string section, then okay, counts. Black Sabbath, they started it. But I think that when we talk about symphonic metal, what we're really talking about is, this modern genre, because Black Sabbath certainly wouldn't fit into the same genre as like Nightwish and Therion, right? And so, what we're talking about when we talk about symphonic metal is, the extreme metal that was born from bands like Celtic Frost that then got, extreme metal had a threesome with gothic metal and power metal, and out came this new genre, right?
That's really interesting way to put it. And it's really smart probably on their end because it made their music easier to access, right? Really extreme. Celtic Frost, really extreme stuff, but this kind of like made it marketable.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and so Therion, they're typically credited with like the modern genre. Therion really started forming it. And they were a death metal band, and they wanted to do more with their music. They wanted to go deeper and really build layers upon layers. And so what did they do? Naturally, they started adding in, orchestral elements. They started adding in operatic vocals, all these things like that. So they really, in the early 90s, formed what would come to be symphonic metal. So here's a clip of Therion. This was off of Lemuria, maybe. This is a Dark Venus Persephone.
funny how metal gets such a bad rap in the community, but it's so wholesome, really, like at its core, right? Like there we saw it's just about like these rich stories from, different mythological, like Greek mythology, Viking mythology, whatever. And it's just so wholesome, really. Dee Snider had to like defend us in court back in the day, with Twisted Sister. Because people just don't realize, they don't actually listen to it, so they don't know what's going on. I think of like Symphony X too. It's just about like, Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey, right? And these great stories. Nothing but just goodness, just pure goodness, We don't deserve all this hate that we get, boys.
No, we really, really don't. But so, I mean, Therion is like, oh gosh. And one thing that they do, as you notice, like the music was actually quite simple there. It went back and forth between like two chords. And it really, really like, powerful melody, but it was so much driven by the vocals, the chorale. They had the soprano in there. They had the bass guy in there going.
Sure, that wasn't just a castrated man, Luke.
Oh well,
and as Richard says, everything sounds better with the metal guitar gallop.
Yeah,
exactly.
Choo choo chugs.
Exactly,
totally
and I think that was heavily. I mean, Therion in like 2016 or 17, they did I think it was in Ukraine. Maybe they got an entire symphony orchestra together, and that's what they played. They played Therion songs, no electric guitar, just all orchestral, as well as a whole bunch of actual, classical music pieces. So they really like. They took like symphonic music, orchestral music, classical music, and then just like made it metal. Like that. Yeah. That's like what they did. And it was so profound. Therion's one of my favorite bands. These guys just, they don't miss. So
it's a lot of work too, to make those elements talk to each other. It's such a mess. It must take forever to mix that shit. The more instruments you add, the harder it is to like make them all heard, basically, which makes sense, right? If you're just playing guitar, drums, and bass, it's not that hard to mix. But a whole orchestra with a whole metal band, it's a complete disaster.
It's a lot of tracks.
Not that anybody cares about how hard it is to make, but it is difficult.
Yeah. Well, so Therion, they're doing their thing, early 90s is when they really switched to more symphonic elements. And then look at that death mug. That is a black metal really mug if I've ever seen
it. Over the top.
Symphonic metal blood for my enemies. It's very nutritious.
So
69 grams of protein per sip.
Per sip. So now here's the thing with symphonic metal, because even Therion is like a cross between a bunch of the more extreme metal elements. Where I would start, if somebody said to me, "Hey, I want to get into symphonic metal. Where do you start?" I would say Nightwish, right? 1996. Here comes Nightwish. They really defined the sound of the symphonic metal genre going forward. They have a million bands that just try to copy them. So here comes Nightwish. Here's Dark Chest of Wonders, and you can just hear the power. And I think somebody in the comments even said it earlier, like the word is epic. Nightwish embodies the word epic. So let's check it out.
Shivers. Shivers every time.
Did you guys see how large Tumos's pipe was?
Yeah.
Thick unit there. Extremely large pipe.
Yeah.
Many pipes. Yes.
That one's probably going to get us taken down, Luke. That was a long ass clip. Busted.
Well, I don't know. I went for a live clip, so maybe
we'll see what happens.
That's okay.
Pushing the envelope.
A lot of these bands do not block.
You know, I'm noticing that's changing. I think people are starting to catch wind of the fact that they're just, pushing away more money and more exposure, which is the dumbest thing possible they could do. So I'm noticing that, less bands are blocking, which is good. We're headed in the right direction here.
Here's what I like what David said, and I think you were talking about genetics earlier, Shred. He says, I wonder what kind of atom constellation it takes to dislike that. Right? Like how
atom constellation.
I think he's referencing your genetics comment.
It might be.
I think everyone else is weird if you don't like that. If that doesn't give you shivers, if you don't want to like pound your fist and go get blasted by the pyrotechnics, which looked awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, people probably listen to something like that, the average normie, and they're thinking like, well, I like the strings. I like the orchestral part, but everything else is trash, Well, and they would like Floor's voice, which is another smart element that really commercializes, a band like Nightwish.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you listen to that and are like turned off. I totally understand when you listen to Cannibal Corpse. I get it if someone's like, "Oh, that sounds terrible to me." Right. Okay, you know what? That's an acquired taste. Yeah. But something like Nightwish, like it gorgeous melodies and these soaring, vocals and strings. And how does that not have a pleasing effect to your
Nightwish ear? Does pretty well, right? They sell quite a bit. Yeah. When I went to the Symphony X show last week, I was horrified at how few people were there. There was literally 200 people in this theater that held 1,800 was the capacity.
Oof.
And there was 200 people there. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like Symphony X is one of they're very skilled live performers. Like never mind what you think about the music, but the music I think is fantastic, but their ability to put on a show is really at a high level. And people just
Sir Russell Allen, man,
probably comes down to marketing a lot, but of course, a band like Nightwish is going to sell more, I would think.
It could also be, did you go in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Los Angeles, they have some weird stuff. We flew back into Los Angeles and they were like, oh, you got to wear a mask in the airport.
Regulation.
And nobody was, but they were like, it's, they're enforcing it again. So, part of it could still be the restrictions. I don't know. But okay. Well, let's keep barreling through because I want to get to some of these guys trying to dethrone the big names. Okay, so next up on the list, defining band in the symphonic metal genre is Epica. Now, Epica started by Mark Jansen after he left After Forever, and Epica took kind of a darker, heavier approach to symphonic metal. And they really bring in a lot of Oriental, exotic, erotic scales. So anyway, here's a facade of the tasty ones. Yeah, here's facade of reality.
There's our eggplant emoji, Pete. Do we have it?
I'll have to bust that one out. Let's take a listen to Epica.
It's the Beauty and the Beast dynamic, right? One of the reasons that makes that so compelling. You know, you have the pure testosterone eggplant emoji. There it is. David's got our back.
He saved me. Yeah.
And then you got Simone Simmons on the other end offering that feminine perspective.
Yes.
What's not to like? You know,
I like
everybody gets what they want.
The grunting there is great because it was like more of a traditional grunt, and then like the rasp growl like part way through. So there's a lot of dynamics, even within the grunting section. There was dynamics, not just in the contrast with.
Grunt Amex.
Well, and another thing that Epica did, which is somewhat unusual, is they, like most symphonic metal, is dealing with, you know, from the power metal roots, dealing with like dragons and, the mythological stuff, the fantastical stuff. Epica talks about like war and poverty and politics and religion. And they like really like make it like, real world stuff, which is different. But Epica, man. Yeah. And somebody said, Esmo said, Simone Simmons is the hottest female singer in metal. It's not difficult to make that case.
Yeah. Well, this is years ago. I mean, she's probably like 24 there.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was that recorded? Is Epica's not even a thing anymore, is it?
4. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just released an album last year.
Yeah. So that was 20 years ago. Now she's, really? They are still doing Epica.
Oh, yeah.
Simone's got something else going on too, right? She's got some kind of other band or something.
Oh, well, a lot of these people have, like, you're going to see some of the bands coming up that are like guest starring from other bands, or it's a side project from another band, things like that. That's very common in particularly in symphonic metal. But okay, so Epica, fantastic. So then the next one up, doing something new, was Within Temptation. Within Temptation comes on the scene in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s, 2004 maybe. And their whole thing is they're coming from like a folk metal background. So they bring in, kind of a folk Viking type feel to some of their music. So anyway, here's Our Solemn Hour. Let's check that out.
Are they themselves to blame? The misery, the pain, didn't we let go? Allowed and let it grow. If we come astray, the peace which dwells inside, it will find its way somehow, somewhere in time, where we remember the suffering doesn't mean
Wow, man. Was that Devin Townsend that did the live sound there? That's pretty good. Pretty good live sound.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Yeah. And Sharon Denadell has one of those really unique voices. I love her voice.
You can even make money with that. I mean, imagine paying like all, 69,000 of those people. And then afterwards you're like, well, I'm in the hole now for just doing that show.
Well, the thing is, like in Europe, the reason why a lot of these bands don't tour much in the US is because, they draw 200 people. But in Europe, they play these festivals where hundreds of thousands of people are going. And
it's worth
I think
there,
there's actually some money there.
Yeah. Wow.
So Richard asks, which record label has the most symphonic metal acts? From what I've seen, I don't know definitively, but Napalm has an entire catalog of symphonic metal. So check out Napalm Records if you want to find some.
Does Nuclear Blast have a lot too? I see a lot of like Nuclear Blast videos these days popping up in my feed. Not that they're necessarily symphonic metal, but
yeah, they might. I know Napalm is like they're just like signing these bands left and right.
Yeah, like the biggest. Who would we say the biggest metal record labels are? Napalm, Nuclear Blast. Who's the other one? That's
Easily.
Century Media is huge for like
Century Media.
progressive metal.
Quite a bit.
I don't see them
Inside
around
Out.
as much. Inside Out,
No.
too.
Which I
like
think
there's-
Century bought Inside Out. Transmission Records is out there.
Yeah,
But
there's only a
it's
few,
you,
really.
you just don't see as many record labels anymore. It's kind of a thing of the past, but
self-publishing these days. So
Heavy
yeah.
Daddy
Yeah.
Records.
Bands will just have like their own, YouTube channel. Or
Yeah,
something,
Heavy Daddy.
and then that's it. They just release it there. But I noticed these music videos. The strategy now is you just make a single, right, and then make a video and then release it, one at a time. Those do really well. So maybe our butter video approach, we should do more of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
we should.
We caught
should.
immediate attention amongst the fans, and
It's true.
We got
my
solicited
YouTube
for
audience
live
is like,
performances.
WTF is this? They're like, this is gnarly.
Yeah.
But it takes time to grow on people.
Yeah.
Nuclear Blast. That's a big one, Richard. One of the best.
Yeah.
But honestly, like if you're like a metal band and you're trying to make it, don't worry about getting signed to a label. I mean, it's just, why would you? Like, because they're not going to sign you unless you have an audience anyway. So you might as well just develop your own audience.
Yeah, they're gonna help you, like, I don't know, schedule shows, and they're gonna help you some logistical stuff for sure. But is it worth it? I don't know. In this day and age, I mean, owning all of your own stuff is so huge. I mean, you see it with Spotify, right? These artists get paid pennies for 1,000 plays.
Yeah.
Whereas if you own it directly and you're the one, everybody's listening to it on your channel, you keep 100% of the revenue, So, I mean, yeah, it's a different game. I don't know what the record labels offer anymore. Other than some logistical
eggplants.
stuff.
They offer eggplants.
Yeah,
maybe
asparagus, urine.
But who cares about that? We're here for the music. Let's
true.
Move on.
Okay, so within Temptation, right? They bring this more of like a tribal folk metal element to it.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the erotic / exotic stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't really hear any of that, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
That was more like Epica. Epica gets it, like they use like Arabian scales and things like that. But okay, a couple more here real quick, and then we're gonna get to like the ones trying to unseat them. So I've got to bring in Sirenia. So Sirenia, Morten Veland starts Sirenia. These guys, so they come from the Gothic metal background, but then they start adding in all these orchestral symphonic elements. So they have a much darker sound, especially at the beginning when Morten Veland was involved, at 6s and 7s. Once you got to like 9 Destinies and a Downfall, it went much more like pop metal. But let's check out, this is the song At 6s and 7s off the album At 6s and 7s. You're going to hear like that real Gothic sound to it.
You're gonna shiver. It's a great song.
Times are strong. You seem to lose it all and more somehow.
Yeah, it makes everything more epic, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Or
well,
dramatic.
and the Gothic element is a lot slower, and it's darker. You're going to hear a lot more like minor keys than major keys. I love the Gothic. Gothic metal is one of my favorite genres. Doom and Gothic are so good. And so, that element in the symphonic metal world, to me, it's just fantastic. It's great. The contrast between the light and the dark, the brightness and the darkness. Oh, that's so good.
But the darkness is better. Can we be honest? Right? I mean, like it's weird how you would like get into metal and then get into like some happy-go-lucky metal band. What are you doing? Like metal is all about darkness.
Yeah. With certain exceptions, like so Rhapsody of Fire, right? I mean, they're like power metal,
They're
symphonic.
pretty happy-go-lucky.
It's so uplifting because it's all about slaying the dragon,
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Which okay, I guess I can kind of get into that. But there's I like the darkness myself.
Well, you need the balance, right? I think that's the thing. It's we were talking earlier about the full picture of life, right? And I think that's what a lot is missed in pop is that it's very one dimensional.
But there's certain like scales that are kind of forbidden. Like you really have no business using just regular major, in metal music. That's just not, that's not allowed. Let's make that illegal. If you want to go major, you got to use like the Lydian mode or something. That's better. That's like Dream Theater's Count of Tuscany. That's Lydian.
Yeah,
and it's major, right? Okay, then it's fine. If you want to go the major route, do that.
Yeah. Well, so some other big name. We're not going to have time to get to them, but some other big names and you probably listened to. Camelot was one of the first to really go. They came from a power metal background and really went symphonic. Delane was the keyboardist from Within Temptation, and he left and started Delane.
That band slaps, yeah.
Oh yeah, so good. And then of course, like Rhapsody, those bands. So anyway, let's get to the contenders here, right? Okay, so those are the big names. They really established this genre. But
probably
there are
the biggest sellers.
Yeah, they're the biggest sellers, most well known, most views on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's start with this is an older band. They originally started in like the 90s as a side project. German
Boys?
Symphonic. No, no. German symphonic metal band, Xandria. Now, these guys, I was introduced to them by my cousin, probably back in like 2005 or something, 2006. And they have just been under the radar. They had a bunch of problems with, changing members and all this kind of stuff. They just released a new album. And so they're back. They've released a couple throughout the years. Diana von Giersbergen sang for them for about 5 years or something. Not related to Annika von Giersbergen. Anyway, here's their new one. This is called Reborn. Let's check this out.
Okay. All right. That's some good contendership there. Those guys got their act together.
Here's what I would say about these guys is if you like symphonic metal, you're going to really like these guys, right? What I struggle with is they don't necessarily bring anything new. Now, Amber's vocals are fantastic, but she's not as operatic as like Tara. She's not quite as like power metal as, Floor, but she's fantastic vocalist.
Very marketable voice. I mean,
like
Tara Turner or whatever, the old Nightwish singer, she's like almost too operatic. It's like too professional for most people's taste.
Real high. Yeah. Very soprano.
Yeah. And just the excessive vibrato, it really sounds like you're at the opera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which most people wouldn't be down for.
I don't know, is Xandria revolutionizing the genre? Probably not. But they are a strong piece to the puzzle. And so
yeah, they're going more the commercial route there. I mean, that stuff you could sell.
Oh yeah. They're trying to come back in a big way. So, okay, now let's get into some wild stuff here. So here's a band. This is an Italian band. They were originally founded in 2013, and they sing in both English and Italian, which I love seeing how other languages structurally relate to the music. And they have both male and female singers. So this band is called Temperance. This song is called Diamanti, which I think means diamond. Let's check it out.
I woke up every night in tears, and I always wondered. But then a voice in my head put an end to my cries. Close your eyes, pretend the lights off now. No matter where you are, the sun revealed their name. Piovono diamanti dall'oscurità, non sembra vero, ma questa è la realtà. Volano come alianti tra mille città, sfidando la forza che nella gravità. Scendono come grandi senza ostilità, senza alcuna bugia. Piovono diamanti, ma della verità resta solo utopia.
Are there seriously just like two chicks in that band that do nothing but sign language, or they're like hype? They're like hype coordinators.
Well, the one is a singer. I don't know who the middle person signing was. I don't know if that was sign language. I'm not sure what was going on.
It looked like she was in a sign language. Yeah.
So I will tell you, these guys, unbelievably catchy tunes.
They
get stuck in your head.
Vanilla. They're very plain Jane in terms of I don't know. It just didn't sound like
There's
metal.
Very little dissonance.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find dissonance in Temperance.
Yeah, that was just all like sweet cream, ice cream.
Yeah, sweet cream ice cream.
I like the dissonance. Yeah. Or what does David say? Too clean, embracing with the darkness. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That did not feel evil enough.
Well, we've got some stuff for you then. All right, let's check out. There is no possible way I can pronounce this name. A Famener.
If you get it wrong, you get castrated. So try to.
So we've talked oftentimes about like, oh man, other than Gojira, there's no French metal bands. Well, I've got a couple French metal bands for you. One of them. So this is a French symphonic melodic death metal band. They're just going for everything, right? Let's get every genre in there. Formed in 2013, and it's like there's orchestral elements, black metal, tremolo. The chicks doing the death growls, which I mean that's a thing these days, which I'm like really Lisa. Into. Exactly.
Arch enemy.
Yeah. And so this is a band called A Famener. Anyway, here the song is called Antigone. Let's check it out.
You're crossing through the city gates. The almost too narrow for her fate. Comes Antigone us to buy. Ace all the rights. The brother they chose to disregard.
not bad. She was
cool.
playing a solar guitar, so extra points for that. Shout out to Ola England, the Swede.
I didn't even notice that. Now you should listen to this song. Oh, so David Rascott. Okay. F. Ainmer.
Oh, he already knows the song. David goes deep in this.
Yeah,
shit. He's balls deep.
These guys, there's a lot of like progressive elements to their music too. So like I was on repeat with this band when I came across them. They have some really good stuff.
Dude, look at what Richard says. This is the comment of the day. Pete, you got to put that one up.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds like my ex when she figured out I wouldn't bury her.
That is good.
Yeah.
Drown your sorrows in WAP juice.
So this, I mean, and black metal and symphonic metal, like that's its whole own subgenre, symphonic black metal. There's some really, really cool stuff there. And that's a great way to get into black metal. If you don't like black metal, symphonic black metal.
And let's be honest, boys, we got a lot of posers out there pretending they like black metal. I'm kind of like maybe one of those.
Okay. I don't know too many posers in the black metal scene. They're like the ones that actually take it serious.
Consumers, like the people listening, like they want to say that they like black metal because it makes them hard. You know, it gives them metal street credit.
Yeah,
but most of it's pretty tough to listen to. You know, it's kind of fun for an effect, but
so I was in Norway for 3 weeks, and I was like, I just hope I get blasted in the face with black metal everywhere I go. There was a surprising lack of black metal, at least in where I was running. But I was talking to this chick at the bar, and she was like, "So you're into music?" Because I had my metal T-shirt on or whatever. She's like, "You're into music," and I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, she's like, "Well, what does Norway have to offer?" And I'm like, "What?"
She doesn't even know.
Well, are you kidding? I was like, "Your country invented an entire genre of metal."
That's why I'm here, bitch. You should have.
Yeah. So she had heard of Mayhem. She's like, "Oh, Mayhem. Yeah." But then I threw out a bunch of other bands. She was like, "Nah, I don't know." So I was in Bergen at that time. Maybe she wasn't.
Disgrace to the country.
Yeah, maybe you got to go north. You got to go north to get to the good black metal. Anyway, fantastic band. Now, along the same lines, here's a Finnish band. We're going to jump over a couple countries. Formed in 2013. This band is called Lost in Grey. Now, I've heard of these guys before. I'd never heard much of them. I hadn't listened to much of them. But when I started reading about them, they call themselves theatrical metal because they're really heavily influenced by film scores and things like that.
Oh, so I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So these guys get into some really interesting structures and whatnot. So let's check out Lost in Grey. This is called Waves.
To keep head up on surface, not to drown. How come we're here where everything keeps changing, like we're on a roller coaster ride?
Well, people are such silly fools. What music that includes you two? Offended by the truth, when there is none or more than one could argue.
Okay, there's some potential there.
Oh yeah,
I like the black metal dude the most.
Yeah.
He's the most evil.
Yeah, I did not see him coming.
No.
When
He popped right up. Oh.
Yeah,
he
just there.
pops up in there and
Yeah,
does his thing.
that theatrical element though, that's great. I mean, like if you're gonna be in a band, a lot of people don't get this. People want to see like a show, right? It's like not everybody can be Dream Theater where they're just sitting there practicing basically the whole time. what it looks like they're practicing, right? If it weren't for James LeBrie, like, yeah, it'd be like, wow, everybody's just up there practicing. Like study theater if you're going to be in a band. Learn how to like grip a crowd.
Yeah.
Image is powerful for sure, but the music is most powerful. And so now here's a band that does this really, really well. So here's a Swedish symphonic metal band. They call themselves horror metal. So
I've heard of the genre.
Oh, have you? Yeah. Okay. So Opera Diabolicus is the name of the band. I had not heard of these guys. But so this song is called Bring Out Your Dead.
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
We all have dead.
Friends, dead and demised. How empty the streets, no one alive or being dead. No man can run from my grasp, I'm the reaper of souls. I come to your house, open the door, enter your home. Bring out your dead, bring out your dead.
Oh, that's pretty evil. That dude reminds me of like Jorn Land or I don't know, someone else that just has this really good high. He has like that power band in his voice. You can tell. Where if he like hits like the 69th frequency, all of a sudden, just nuclear explosion happens. I love that vocalist. Like when they get to a certain high pitch and it just like gets more powerful, really blossoms.
Yeah, they had a cool little like when it broke down there and it was like a music box sound. It sounded kind of like Halloween almost. Like
those are creepy. Yeah, so creepy. I love that.
Yeah,
definitely horror.
What is this guy Raspy Roop is saying? When someone says they like black metal, I put some Stalaga on. What the hell is that?
I think that's the band.
But
I think that's the band.
Yeah, but have you heard of them?
I haven't heard of that band.
I don't think so. No, I've maybe seen the name before, but if I've heard them,
honestly, like we should talk more about this, like actual metal evangelism. If you want to get people into metal, don't drop them off in the weeds somewhere, with Cannibal Corpse or some crazy obscure band that no one likes. The goal is to actually get them to be converted to the religion of metal, not to actually scare them away, right?
Well, and that's what symphonic metal. I mean, this is really the element or the genre to start with.
100%.
Now, and perhaps we just listened to some like horror metal and some black symphonic melodic death metal. So maybe we've gone a little too far off the path here.
Oh,
right?
definitely. but at the beginning, bands like Nightwish and Epica, those bands are a lot easier on the ears.
Oh, totally.
And even starting with Metallica is a really smart idea too, because they have some songs that aren't even metal. Like Nothing Else Matters.
Right. Sure.
That's a real smart way to go, because then people are like, they don't realize they're about to go into some uncharted territory, right? Depending on what you choose next to expose them to.
Yeah.
To violate their virgin ears with.
So let's bring it back to like the root of the genre here. So I don't know if anybody is a fan of the band Rage of Light. I listened to Rachel Light a ton back in the day. Melissa Bonney is the lead singer. She has always been, maybe not in my top 10 for sure. And so she has a new project. She's a Swiss symphonic metal chick. She's got a new project called Ad Infinitum out there. And so I cannot talk about modern symphonic metal without bringing her into it. So let's check out Ad Infinitum. This is called Marching on Versailles. She does the clean vocals. She can do the death growls. You'll hear a little bit here in this song. She's incredible. So Ad Infinitum.
Almost as good as Madonna.
Hear the symphony of our liberty, hundreds of voices resounding through the night, pushing the shadows away from your halo. We've been kept outside of your perfect paradise. Step into the light of the moon tonight. History chose its eyes. We are the army of silent cries, marching on your denial. We are the justice for those who died, for the glory of Versailles.
Today's the day, my friends. We'll be free from our chains. Have faith, justice will prevail. Till time, today we rise as the
We are the army of silent cries.
That's
Oh,
probably
see,
one
when
of the
you-
better bands you've picked out of the.
when you talk about
those two
tension
ones.
and release and like dissonance and consonance, like
Yeah.
these guys nail it. Just
Yeah.
nail it. Melissa Bonney.
It seems a little less symphonic though. But great. I think Raspy Roop had pointed out earlier in like Insomnium and that's like melodic death, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you get that melody carry through, but it's not really symphonic.
The
But-
symphonic element is definitely in the background, right?
Yeah.
Well, some bands just mix it lower, I
Yeah.
noticed that from what we've been hearing. Some bands it's like out in front and the distorted guitars are like playing the background role, and then other times it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, like I like to keep it a little more dialed back, like because the core of the metal engine really is the drums, bass, and guitar. And if the orchestra is like overpowering that, it just doesn't drive along as well. I don't think
Right.
it's easy to like overmix that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, two other bands we're not going to get to, but you should definitely check out Illumashade. Illumashade is a side project from Fabienne from Eluvite. And that's really good. But I mean, probably more of what you'd consider fairly. What did you call it earlier, Scott? Vanilla, vanilla ice cream or
ice.
something. Yeah.
Ice
So-
Ice Baby. Doom, 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 doom.
And then of course the band Fairyland. If anybody's out, I learned about Fairyland from my progressive metal professor back in college.
Luke went
Many
to
years
school
ago,
for
Fairyland.
progressive metal.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Fairyland, they're another French band, French symphonic metal band, but they get into a lot of like Viking folk metal stuff, a lot of chanting and that kind of thing, but really, really good. So, okay.
And also Kid Leroy and Cardi B. Be sure to listen to them because they are the best
Mix in a little bit of
symphonic
that.
metal that
Right.
I know of.
Right. So you guys let us know, like, is the new stuff coming out in the symphonic metal genre better than the original stuff? Does the original stuff still hold up? Of course, a lot of the original bands are still producing music. Nightwish and Epica and all these guys. And
Nightwish
they're-
is like on tour right now, right?
yeah, without Marco
Yeah.
though, right? Marco
What?
quit a year ago, a year and a
I
half
guess
ago.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Pete, did you not know that Marco
What?
left the band? That's insane. How could you have missed that?
Well, because I guess I'm old school. I just listened. I listen to like CDs still, so the news travels to me slow.
No, you
yeah.
knew that because I think we actually covered it on the show
Yeah,
before.
we read it. We read it. That it's just I blocked it out. It was like a bad.
Basically, I
dream.
think Mark was
Yeah.
like, "I'm done with the music business."
Yeah,
just got fed
that's
up
right.
with the whole. Yeah,
He
Which
got fed
is-
up because he's like, the venues take too much, the management takes too much, the
Dude,
label takes
I
too
was-
much, and it's
yeah.
true.
I was trying to do the math on the Symphony X show the other day. I'm like, are these guys even making money?
No,
like all the people you have to
200
pay.
tickets.
Well,
3
that's why
200
Devin
tickets,
Townsend,
$50 a pop. I'm like, how are you guys making money here?
right? Devin Townsend, he disbanded the Devin Townsend project because he's like, touring's too expensive. Now he's touring now again, but it's pretty limited. And I think he's just got, his core little band that's doing it. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So let us know, are the original kings and queens of symphonic metal still the kings and queens? Or are some of these new ones like Ephemer,
Yes.
are they, now the kings and queens of symphonic metal?
And also let
But,
us know, like, just what genre of metal you actually like the most. Is it symphonic metal or thrash or doom or
Yeah.
whatever?
So many
else?
good ones to
WAP.
choose from.
WAP metal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody, remember that the world ends with you. So always keep it metal.